Is Putin creating a pretext for war? Moscow CNN. Russian President Vladimir Putin is a man who likes to keep his options open, and the Ukrainian crisis is no exception. As the Kremlin leader signals his willingness to engage on the diplomatic front, he is also bolstering a case for war. Take the situation in Donbass. The territories in eastern Ukraine partly controlled by Russian-backed separatists. In the press conference with the German Chancellor Olaf Scholz on Tuesday, Putin dropped the G word to describe the situation there. According to our estimates, what is happening in the Donbass today is genocide, Putin said. Scholz pushed back, later telling reporters that Putin was wrong to use the term. But those comments were already out in the public realm, and Putin had stepped up to rhetoric. Putin's grievance in Donbass isn't new. He has spoken repeatedly about what he described as the violation of the rights of ethnic Russians and Russian speakers in Ukraine, and has stated that it is within Russia's rights to intervene militarily to protect them. But Putin appears to be making a case for his own version of the responsibility to protect. However, distance the situation in Donbass may be from the Rwanda, where over 800,000 people, mostly Tutsis, were killed over the course of 100 days in 1994, or Srebrenica, where more than 7,000 mostly Muslim men and boys were slaughtered in 1995. Invoking genocide echoes Russia's false claim that each neighboring Georgia committing genocide against the civilians in the breakaway Republic of South Ossetia in August 2008. During that brief conflict, Russia launched a massive military incursion that pushed deep into Georgian territory, a scenario that worries Western policymakers today when it comes to Ukraine. The investigative committee, Russia's top law enforcement body, took Putin's comment a step further in Wednesday when it announced it had opened a criminal investigation into alleged evidence of what it called discriminative criminative shelling of civilians in the Donbass region by Ukrainian forces since 2014. In a press release laced with the politically charged language, the investigative committee said it had opened a criminal case under Part 1 of Article 8356 of the Criminal Code of the Russian Federation, which covers the mistreatment of the civilian population and the use of means and methods prohibited by the international treaty in the armed conflict. The statement by the investigative committee echoed the Putin's genocide talk, saying the intent to exterminate the inhabitant of Donbass is obvious. The Russian investigation recorded hundreds of such facts that qualify as evidence of the use of prohibited means and methods of the warfare. It's clear why the Kremlin wants to change the subject. Back in 2015, for example, shelling blamed on Russian-backed Donbass separatists claimed the lives of at least 30 people in the southeastern Ukrainian city of Mariupol. Since conflict in Donbass began in 2014, Thousands of civilians have been killed and injured in the fighting, according to the United Nations estimate. But announcing an investigation not by an independent body and at the height of a confrontation with Ukraine appears to be a clearly political move, whatever the truth of the allegations. And then there's also the nettlesome question of the legal status of the separatist regions of the Donbass. Russia has never recognized the self-declared Donetsk People's Republic and the Luhansk People's Republic in Donbass as sovereign and independent states, even as it has handed out Russian passport to people living there. Russian lawmakers earlier this week appealed to Russian president to recognize the breakaway republics in Donbass as independent. That too creates a potential situation where Russia might declare the need to respond to Ukrainian aggression against those statelets. What that happen? Recognition of the DNR and the LNR would effectively scuttle the Minsk agreement, the package of measures that for now the Kremlin says is the only way to resolve the Ukrainian crisis. But manufacturing more problems can also benefit the Kremlin. It expands the menu of options at Putin's disposal.